Hi, I'm Dr. Randy Gregg, and you're listening to Coffee in the Park with Jennifer and Cam.
Jennifer, what'd you do last night?
Well, Cam, I was at the curling rink. And
What?
Don't look at me like that. It wasn't for myself. It was for my son.
I thought you took up curling, but your
I
son
used to
took...
curl. I
Yeah.
love curling.
Like, because you're from Saskatchewan,
Thank
and you're
you.
from the farm.
Correct.
And curling's the thing to do.
Curling is huge.
Were you like a good curler? Were you like a...
No, but
No?
I was an average curler.
Yeah?
But you did it for the social aspect.
No, here's my question.
Okay,
Did
yeah.
you use those the long brooms? Yeah, those brooms. That's a good
Yeah,
noise.
thank you. I did.
You did?
I did the corn brooms,
Yeah.
kind of like, but now they don't use
No,
those
see,
anymore.
I watch curling now, but it was more fun with the corn brooms,
I know.
I think.
And they
Anyway,
made the slappy sound, and it was
I
like,
love that.
I
That
know.
was awesome.
I
I've
know.
never curled. I've always wanted to.
Bonspiels were the best.
Bonspiels. What? Better tell everybody what a bonspiel is.
Well, it's like a little tournament.
A tournament. Yeah. So you had bonspiel tournaments.
Right, you did.
Wow.
I know.
You're a curler.
Well, used to be.
That's incredible.
I think if I went down in the hack to throw the rock now, I might not get back up, which is why my son isn't curling and I'm not.
Well, but hey, curling. A lot of people, they watch it, they see it, but it was a big thing. It is a big thing.
Well, and what I told my son is there was a significant female to male ratio at the curling rink last night in his group. So,
right. So yeah,
you know,
now curling took on a whole new meaning.
well, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Cool. Okay, good. Hey, good day today.
It was a great day today.
Yeah, we recorded some very special
Episodes?
well,
they're not really
episodes,
No.
but commercials,
Segments,
kind
segments.
of. Yeah, segments.
I like that word.
That's right, because we have a new segment coming
We
up.
do called Flavor of the Month.
That's right, because everybody knows that that we're brought to you. Coffee in the Park with Jennifer and Cam is brought to you by Wing Snob. Wing Snob, some of the best wings you're ever going to have. 16 sauces, 4 rubs. Wing Snob Canada, right here in Edmonton.
Fresh,
10
never
franchises.
frozen.
Fresh, never frozen. Your favorite is, I always ask you
Snobby
this.
Q
Snobby
and dill
Q.
pickle.
And I love the Parmesan. And but we got to try some new wings today.
We did.
Amazing. So, folks, if you've never been to a Wing Snob, you got to check it out. www.wingsnob.ca. Right here in Edmonton. If you don't know what you're having for supper tonight, I'd say head over to Wing Snob.
Well, why wouldn't you?
Are the Oilers playing tonight? No, I don't.
No, they played last night.
They play but so whenever the Oilers are playing, you can get the Oiler family pack.
I know.
It's a deal.
It is.
So listen, I'm telling you right now, some of the best wings you're ever going to have. www.wingsnob.ca. Thanks for sponsoring us, Wing Snob. We appreciate it. And we're going to bring you every month a brand new segment from Mike Chatty, the owner of Wing Snob.
That's right.
Flavor of the month.
Yes, but Cam,
Yeah.
tell our listeners where we're coming from today.
We are coming to you live from the Wall Coffee Roasters in the heart of beautiful downtown Atchison. That's right. So if you hear some coffee noises in the background, some whirring, machines operating,
It's a
people
little busy
talking,
here today.
it is busy. So that's why we're here. And really exciting. We also want to tell you that we are brought to you by
Our friends over at M-Print Sign and Print Solutions here in
M-Print.
Atchison.
That's right. Some of the best printers you will ever see, whether you need business cards, right up to they wrap vehicles. And they once wrapped a helicopter and everything in between, brochures and whatever you might need. These guys do it. They're
Best
absolutely
customer service. Big supporters of not-for-profits in the
That's
city.
right.
Cam, they're amazing.
They are the official printer of the Coffee in the Park podcast with Jennifer and Cam.
That's right.
And so I'm telling you, if you need something printed, whatever it is, maybe just wedding invitations, or maybe you need like a full-blown directory of some sort printed or something like that.
Whatever your needs are,
Check
they
them
will
out.
come up with unique solutions.
That's
Visit
right.
them at www.mprint.ca.
It's awesome. So, hey, everybody. And, good to have you listening again. We're really excited that you're here today. Today, we have a really great show. We're really excited.
Let's kick it off.
Jennifer, why don't you introduce our guest today?
Well, Cam, I am very excited for our guest today.
Me too.
So I'm proud to introduce that our guest today is Dr. Randy Gregg. So welcome, Randy.
So good to have you. Thank you.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Always fun to share stories.
Yeah, and just off your holiday in Madagascar. Are you feeling a tad jet lagged?
So I got over that quite well. My wife is a traveler. She's a wonderful lady.
Okay.
And so finally I relented and said, I've got to go on one of the holidays with you. So an 18-day bike trip in Madagascar before the coup came. So I'm glad to be back in Edmonton.
We're glad you made it out.
Made it back.
That's right. You said how long to get back? You said it was
about 60 hours from
60
the south
hours.
of Madagascar back to Edmonton. So,
Crazy.
if I don't see a plane for another few weeks,
Yeah,
I'm okay
you're
with
okay
that.
with that.
I don't blame you.
I don't blame you. That's a rough one. Well, thanks for doing this. So good to have you, and we appreciate it. And yeah, let's just get her started.
Kick it off.
Go ahead, Jennifer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, Randy, tell us a little bit about where you were born, where you grew up.
Yeah, so my parents were actually born in Winnipeg, and my father was a railroad conductor, and he came to Edmonton a long time ago, and so I was the youngest of 6 children. I think my mother was 43, so probably she probably didn't plan to have me,
Right,
but anyway,
yeah.
I came along. I was the youngest of 6.
And you're okay with that?
I'm
You're-
okay with
you've
that.
reconciled that? That's
Well,
good, yeah.
Interesting enough, so back then, when I was born, I was 10 pounds 6 ounces, and they kept my mother in the hospital for 7 days.
Wow.
Not because she was sick or anything.
Yeah.
She had 5 kids at home to
That's
take
right,
care of.
she needed
said,
the rest.
Yes, stay here, have a rest for 7 days. They don't do that anymore.
I
don't
know. I was
do
going to
that
say,
anymore.
isn't it the next day they send you
Yep,
home?
yeah.
So
Sometimes you're out the same
So
day.
your mom was kind of lucky. It was a little bit of respite
She
there
was,
for a while.
Yeah, so we had a 730 square foot house in Inglewood.
730.
And I always tell
Wow.
people the first time I slept alone was after I got married. So it was a busy household. It was quite. I have 3 older sisters, so to actually get in the washroom without them doing their
Right.
hair was a challenge. For
You were
sure.
way down on the
Yeah.
list there. That's incredible. But 3 older sisters. Did they take care of their baby brother? Were you their favorite? Were you?
Not at all.
Not at all.
No, I was just an afterthought. So, but I stayed out of the way, and and I did have 2 older brothers. One, my older brother Ron, was an anesthetist, so a doctor,
Oh,
and
okay.
my other brother took over my father's company, Gregg Distributors. So he was well, both were great gentlemen. But Gary was the one that said, you know what, why don't we teach you how to skate? And so we had a hockey rink in the back. Why don't we teach you how to play baseball?
Right.
So he coached me baseball, and all the way through, he really was the role model to be able to make
Sure.
sure I got to every hockey game and every baseball game. And so it was really fun to be able to do that.
So when did you move to Edmonton?
So I grew up in Edmonton.
Oh,
Yeah,
you grew up in
yeah,
Edmonton.
you bet.
Okay,
I
yeah.
was born at the Royal Alexandra Hospital.
Oh,
and-
okay, yeah.
And then, Inglewood. When
Inglewood,
when
yeah.
my father built the house, it was right on the edge of Edmonton. Now
Yes,
it's inner
it was.
city, of
I was
course.
going to say, yeah.
Yeah.
What high school did you go to?
So my elementary school was Inglewood. So
Yes,
I could walk to Inglewood. Then Westmount was my junior high, and then Ross Shepherd was my high school.
Okay, so West Glen was my elementary school. Mm-hmm. So they changed it to an elementary school, and my high school was Ross Shep. I lived in Westmount, just kind of over a little
Real
bit from
close.
Inglewood. Yeah. Wow. So you're a Thunderbird. Okay.
I'm
A T-bird. Yeah.
you bet.
Go
Well,
Birds.
I was also, I think I was 15 in grade 12, and so I was 5'5". So everybody said, "Are you going to play basketball?" No, I'm just a little shrimp.
Yeah.
At 16, I was 6'4", so I grew a little bit during that time. But during the high school time, I think I made the Ross Shepherd ping pong team.
Okay.
And that's about all I could do. But then things progressed.
Yeah,
after
things
that a little
progressed
bit.
after that.
So then, growing up, because you have such a sports background, were you playing hockey at the time? Were you playing baseball growing up? Or was that something that became a passion to you later on in life?
So all the time, my parents probably figured if we lose 6, we still have 5 kids at home. So after supper, my mother would make sure we'd have supper at 5. About 5:30, I was going to the hockey rink, the Inglewood outdoor rink to skate and have
that's
some
right.
fun with
The outdoor
people,
rinks, yeah.
or playing baseball. So baseball was a passion, and so was hockey, but it was always recreational. I think in bantam hockey, I played bantam B. We played outdoors. So unlike these days where if you don't play bantam AAA with some amazing team that travels all over the world, you're not going to make it. Back then, we didn't think we were going to make it. We just wanted to have fun.
It was just fun.
Yeah, for sure. So
The outdoor rinks are a bit of the past now. I think there's still a few around and they're playing them. But in those days, it was the outdoor rink and into the shack to warm up, and then back out onto the rink a little bit. So
yeah, I think a hockey player has to freeze their fingers every now and then just to appreciate the sport.
That's right, minus 20 and you're out playing, and those were good days though. I played when I was little, and they were fun days. Yeah, for sure. So high school, and then from high school to
University?
university, or
So at 16, I was in first year university at the U of A.
16.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so interestingly enough, though, at that point, it was 1972, and there was this kind of interesting hockey tournament called the Canada-Russia Series.
Yes.
And my older brother Gary really wanted to go there, so he talked to all his friends. It was 2 weeks in Russia, in Moscow,
Yes.
in a 5-star hotel, all the tickets to the games, and it cost so much money, $700 back then.
Unbelievable.
So he went to all his friends and said, guys, I'm going to go to Russia and watch this. I think it's going to be a pretty good hockey tournament. But, of course, nobody had $700.
That's right, yeah.
So my mother said, well, why don't you take your little brother? I'll pay for it. So at 16, I got to go to Luzhniki Stadium and watch Paul Henderson score his goal. I was 16 at the time and started to realize that there's no way I could ever play at this level. But, boy, this was a fabulous experience. And about 8 years later, I was playing with the national team in the same stadium. So it's kind of fun.
That's amazing. My uncle went to that series in Russia, and I remember the stories when he came back. But, yeah, you probably never dreamed in a million years that you'd be playing at that level one day.
Well,
pretty incredible.
No, not at all. But and that's a good thing, because when you grow up in the outdoor rink, what you want to do is you want to have fun. You don't care about skills. Skills will come. What you have to have is independent, recreational learning. And that's why I think a lot of kids these days, the 3-on-2 drills and the 1-on-1 drills are great. But if you don't have the passion, and the passion comes with recreational involvement with your friends and family. So. Yeah, so it was a good opportunity.
That's really, what a great story from the outdoor rink. I mean, what a great story. That's fantastic. Good kids need to hear that. That's a great story.
Well, unfortunately, you go to Calgary, they don't have outdoor
Well,
rinks
no,
because
yeah,
But we do have the chance. In fact, it's interesting. We have 12 grandchildren right now.
Oh, my goodness.
And they like to speed skate. Of course, the speed skating oval is down at Victoria Park Outdoor. My wife coaches them. And one of our little guys, it was about 25 below, and he's out there, and of course the practice is finished. They have to go inside, and he looked up and said to my wife, she said, "Oh my, can I just do one more lap?" And I thought, I like that.
You knew, you got it right there. That's good. I love it.
He had passion.
One more lap. Okay, so
from 16, you're in university. What did you want to do when you were in university? Like, what was your ultimate career goal?
Yeah, so, I don't think I could brush my hair properly at 16. Here I was in university, and my older brother was a doctor, and thought, well, that would be a good academic challenge. And I knew I would never be good enough to play with the Golden Bears, because, they were the U of A Golden Bears. But so I played, juvenile and hockey, and then all of a sudden I grew up a little bit. And it was interesting, because in my third year of science, I thought, well, I want to go into medical school. So I went to try out for the U of A Golden Bears. And anyway, I wasn't that good, but I went in and I talked to Clare Drake.
Clare
Drake.
Clare Drake.
Amazing man.
Amazing guy.
And Clare Drake looked me in the eye and said, "What position do you play?" And I said, "Well, I play left defense." He said, "Pardon me?" I said, "Well, I play left defense." He said, "Hold on now. You play defense. Because if you're going to be a defenseman, you have to learn how to play both sides." My whole career I was right defenseman.
Yes.
So I was slapped kind of in the face verbally by Clare Drake. But at the time, I said, I'm in science. I've got lots of time, labs and things like that. Quite difficult. It might be difficult to play with the Golden Bears. And he said, okay. So I just left. So I didn't even make the Golden Bears at that time. Well, the next year I got into medical school, and of course there were no labs. You went from 8 to 5 at night, but practice was at 5:15. So I tried out for the team, and luckily they had a very, very strong team, but a couple of their defensemen had graduated. So the coach then said, well, we'll try, and that was the start. I thought, my God, my life is fulfilled. I'm playing with the U of A Golden Bears. But it was interesting, because I had a really good friend in medical school who was a bit of a partier, and he'd come in about 9 in the morning. So I'd take the notes from 8 to 9, and then I'd sneak out the back at 4:30 to be able to get to practice time. So I got his notes from 4:30 to 5.
Oh, what a great system. That's awesome.
So we both got through medical school. The problem was, back then, the hockey jerseys were a wool.
That's right.
And so what do you do when you wash wool over and over, they get small? So all these little guys in the Golden Bears would get the biggest jerseys. Well, by the time I got there 5 minutes before practice, the only jersey was about size extra small. So I told myself I will never, ever do that to somebody, because I could hardly move my arms.
I hope you got some good pictures of that.
Oh, it was awful. I can breathe, but I can't skate very fast. Anyway, Clare Drake was such a fabulous gentleman, and the program was so good. They took a tall, slow defenseman and made a tall, slow defenseman knew how to play defense.
Man,
And so that was a good experience for
that's
me.
incredible. And for those who are listening, maybe around the world or wherever you're listening, here in Alberta, in Edmonton, Clare Drake, without a doubt, was considered, I think, one of the best collegiate hockey coaches that's ever lived. I've heard that said, that he was amazing. He was absolutely amazing, and took a lot of young players like yourself and developed them into great hockey players.
There's a couple of things. I mean, he was a great man, a great leader, but a couple of things that come to mind. The first of all is coaches should not be fans.
Yeah.
They should be coaches.
Yes.
And so the fans get excited when you win, and they get depressed
Yeah,
when you
yeah,
lose.
yeah.
Yes.
And Clare Drake, you could never tell whether we won or lost because he was so strategic. He was not a fan, he was a coach.
Right.
And so, the coaches get all excited about winning. Well, that means that winning is good. No, not winning is good. The only time you need to win is called the NHL because
Right.
you're paid to
Right.
win.
Yeah.
So the Golden Bears, he was looking at player development, personal skills, things like that, and a teamwork that's created. The other thing that he did is we had the Clare Drake Arena right now. We could practice for hours at a time.
Yeah.
And invariably, we'd have 50-minute practices. Well, of course, as a first-year player, you can hardly look him in the eye because this is Clare Drake. Finally, I was the captain of the team in the 4th year, and I said, Coach Drake, I said, we've got all the time in the world to practice. Why do we only have 50-minute practices? And he looked me in the eye and said, it's all I need.
Wow.
Now,
That's
when you look
great.
at those practices, they were high intensity.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
And so we have a 2-hour practice. What do you do to survive? You go half speed. Well, why would you practice a sport you want to go high intensity, half speed?
Right.
So he was way ahead of his game.
Yeah.
We had 4 or 5 drills that we did every day, all one-on-one drills, all drills that formed the focus of the skills that we should have to be a good hockey player. But I thought, and I spent some time with some 2-hour practice, skating. So
Yeah,
what do you do?
yeah.
You hold back,
You do,
play
yeah.
at 70%. Well, why? Anyway, it's interesting because the Oilers of the day were really good. We had 1-hour practices. And in fact, there was a fellow named Doug Hallward who got traded from Detroit to our team right before one of the Stanley Cups. And
Yeah.
he sat beside me, and after the first practice, I said, Doug, how was practice? And he looked at me and I said, you guys practice harder than we play. And I thought, I wonder why we've won 4 Stanley
Yeah,
Cups.
exactly,
Yeah.
right? All right, so let's not jump too far ahead yet. So you're in university, you're in medical school. Mm-hmm. How many years did you play for the Golden Bears?
The 4 years of medical school.
4 years,
Yeah.
all 4 years. Mm-hmm. So you played while you were in medical school.
Yeah,
That's-
seemed to get it going. But although the one interesting time, so of course in surgery you're often on call every third night.
Right, yeah.
And so we played Friday and Saturday. So what I try to arrange is being on call Thursday. So you go into the OR at 7 in the morning, you go through until 5 o'clock. Surgery was really busy, so
Yeah.
you'd be up all night throughout the whole night. And then 7 o'clock on a Friday, you go back to the OR and go till 5. And I remember at 5 o'clock I'd go home, 7 o'clock game. My mom would have a pregame meal ready for me. And after I finished, I said, Mom, I want to have a pregame sleep. Wake me up in 3 minutes.
Wow.
3 minutes.
3 minutes.
And, I would die if I did that
Yeah,
now. But,
yeah.
when you're young and you
Yeah,
don't know any
yeah,
better,
yeah.
3 minutes was enough. You go
Okay.
and play, have some fun.
Wow.
But you had great success with the Golden Bears. So how many championships did you win during your time
so
there?
our team won 2 championships, which is great. And we did have some good teams. But, the U of A Golden Bears was a really nice environment, not only to teach us the skills, but to realize that if all you have is hockey, then your life isn't fulfilled.
Yeah,
If all you
yeah.
have is academics,
Yeah.
your life isn't fulfilled. So it allowed us to create a balance between academics and athletics, and I think that held quite true for the future. I had many friends who got cut from the NHL. Well, their life was over. No,
Yeah.
their
Did-
hockey life was over.
Right.
Did you
Their life
think
wasn't
while
over.
you were playing for the Bears you'd go on to play in the NHL?
Never.
Never.
I never
You were going to
thought
be
I
a
was gonna-
doctor, and that was
Yeah, until the 4th year in 1979, we were playing in the national championship, and there was this fellow named Father David Bauer
yes.
who came around.
Yes.
This was Moncton, Alberta. We all went to a seafood restaurant, and the lobster was like $18, and the shrimp were $17. The Alberta steak sandwich was $8, so we all had an Alberta steak sandwich. We can't afford
That's
this.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there was this fellow that came. I didn't know who he was, but he introduced himself, and of course, at that point, Father David Bauer was trying to recruit for the 1980 Olympics
Yes.
in Lake
Yeah.
Placid.
Yeah.
So fortunately, I thought, oh my God, are you kidding me? To be in the Olympics? I mean, my life is fulfilled. So luckily, I was able to be a team member and the captain in the 1980 Olympics, and that was magical.
Wow,
That was the best
I bet.
experience of my life.
80 Olympics, where was that? That was in
Lake Placid.
Lake
Yep.
Placid, that's right.
Sixth
in
place
yes.
finish.
Okay.
highlight of my life,
Yeah.
sixth place finish. So
Yeah.
why would that be when you've got all these Stanley Cup championships? And it's because the focus that Father Bauer had on personal development,
Yes.
team spirit, not just winning.
Yeah.
He said, everybody wants to win, but we want more out of hockey than
Yeah.
that. And so it was an amazing experience to say. Now, the other thing is in the 1980 Olympics, right before the Olympics, Canada, the Canadian Olympic program had what's called Canada House. So all the teams came for this reception before the Olympics started. And of course, the hockey players sitting there saying, "Oh, reception, we don't want to be in a reception." And in walked the bobsledders, and
Right.
in walked the downhill skiers, and in walked the speed skaters. And this beautiful little female speed skater walked out. Oh my gosh!
Okay, I know where we're heading with this one. Okay.
So of course I was too shy to say hello, but I thought, my God, she's amazing. And about 2 days later in the Olympic Village, she came up and said, "Oh, my name is Kathy. We've got friends that live in your house." And I thought, yes, my life is fulfilled. So that was
I
the
love
start
it.
of
Okay,
yeah.
so who asked who out first?
So we decided to go to a concert in the Olympic Village.
Right.
Harry Chapin was playing.
Come on, yeah.
And, I knew.
You knew right
You
then.
knew right
Yeah.
away.
Yeah.
And did she know?
Probably didn't. No, probably not.
So you had to work at it a little bit. You had to
Well,
Where did she live? In Canada.
She
lived-
was from Winnipeg.
Okay.
Winnipeg,
And
okay.
Yeah.
it was all over the world.
So a bit of a
training.
long distance at
For a
first,
while,
or
yeah. But
Yeah.
anyway, she was in Germany training. I went to Japan to play in Tokyo, and she denies this, but of course back then you don't have emails.
No,
Yeah,
they
no
didn't.
texting, no
she
emails.
She would write me a letter, and of course you're busy playing hockey, so I'd write her a letter, and she finally wrote me a Dear John letter, like I was a month late.
Uh-oh.
She said, "Well, you didn't write me a letter.
Yeah,
Is this over?" I said, "Well, no." So anyway, so the long story short, she's the most wonderful person.
Yeah.
And we've been around for 40 years together. Have 4 little
Congratulations.
daughters.
So where did you get married? In Winnipeg?
In Winnipeg.
In
Yeah, we
Winnipeg.
got married in Winnipeg.
And how long after you first met did you get married?
So about 2 years. She was
2
still
years?
in the national
Yeah.
team. I was playing with the Oilers. But here's the romantic part of me, which is not very romantic. She came to visit me, and we were playing the Boston Bruins on a Friday night. And so we played, and she went to the game, and I think we won 5-2. And we came up to my place, and we were just about ready to go to sleep. And I said, "Oh, I've got something for you in the garage." And she said, "Well, can it wait till the morning?" I said, "Well, why don't we go into the garage and see?"
Yeah.
Anyway, she had an old beater car.
Right.
And I was in the NHL, so I had a little bit of money. So I bought her a little baby blue RX-7. And
Come on.
in the glove compartment was a ring. So that's how. So I proposed in the garage. If you can believe that. How non.
You're a tough act to follow. I got it. All you guys listening out there, all it takes is an RX-7 and a ring in the glove box.
Well, I didn't know whether she'd say yes with the
Yeah.
ring, but the RX-7 was.
She
Yeah,
knew
yeah.
she'd take
So, yeah.
that.
Oh yeah. And,
That's a great story right there. But she said yes.
Of course, she said
She
yes.
did.
And,
Wow.
She was a wonderful person. But here's the other story. So she was a speed skating, about 5'5", 130
Yeah.
pounds. I
Yeah.
was 6'4", 220. We used to train at the U of A. And we'd go for a run. I'd say, "How long do you want to run for?" "Oh, as long as you want." She could run for hours. I
Yeah.
could run for like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But there was a machine at the U of A. It's a leg press machine that had a valve and a
Right.
cylinder that showed how much power you had.
Yeah.
So this was 1984. I would just helped to win the Stanley Cup. So I was probably as strong as I could. So I got in this machine. I pushed as hard as I can. The gauge went up to 500. I thought, no, pretty strong. Anyway, this little thing gets on. She pushes. She gets 500. Same amount of power as I had. I thought, shoot, I must have slipped or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, she had the same amount of power in her legs that I did.
Wow.
I was 100 pounds heavier, and she told me that Gaetan Boucher, who
Yeah.
was one of the best
Yeah,
Yes,
one of the best
speed skater,
skaters in the world.
absolutely.
Yeah.
push it to 1,500.
1,500.
So
Speed
I
skaters
had-
are amazing.
Man.
I had 1/3 the power that a 5'8", 170
Yes.
pound speed skater had. So I realized that although hockey's a great sport, they were amazing athletes.
Right,
Yeah, they
amazing. They
absolutely-
really are. I mean, Katrina Maydome and all the
So many.
fantastic. Okay, so you went from the Olympic team. How did the Oilers came knocking, or you went knocking, or how did that happen?
Yeah, so I really love the Olympics. Because I got
Yeah.
paid $4,000 and not $400,000, and I loved representing Canada.
Absolutely.
I loved when I go to Europe, you had to
Yeah.
carry your bags. There's
Yeah.
no concierge to carry your bags, and I really thought that the program could develop in 1984 do that. So I made arrangements to to go to Tokyo and play as a defenseman for the Kokodo Bunnies. You know, it was
Kokodo Bunnies.
Yeah, with a purple and yellow jersey with a big bunny with two big ears on it, with a big smiling face. We weren't the most intimidating jersey in the world. But I did that for the first year, and I'd leave Tokyo on a Friday. By Monday, I was at the Royal Oak Hospital doing my internship. So I did that, and luckily we had some fabulous doctors that allowed me to have some flexibility. But the second year I was in Japan, I was sitting in my hotel room in Sapporo waiting for a game, and I got this phone call, and this fellow said, "Hi, my name is Glen Sather. A guy named Peter Pock and I are over here. We want to talk to you." I said, "Well, I'm in Sapporo. You're in Tokyo. It's a 2-hour flight." He said, "Well, give me a call when you get back from Tokyo." So I played the season, and I thought that'd be great. I got back, and so I went to see Glenn, and Glen Sather was an interesting fellow, but a real strategist with regards to putting that team together. He had Gretzky, Messi, and all the great players. So he came in and said, "I want to sign you to a 3-year one-way contract." 2-way contracts means if you go to the minors, you get not much money.
That's right. Yeah.
So a one-way contract. I'd played in Japan for 2 years. Who knew whether I could ever play? But they had the Gretzkys and Messiers, they had the Kevin Lowe's, they had the Paul Coffeys, but they didn't need a defenseman. So he kind of figured this might be a position for me. So he offered me this fantastic 3-year one-way contract, and I thought, oh my gosh. And I said, "Thanks, Glenn, but I really think I should go back to medicine." So I got up, I started walking out the door. He said, "Randy, sit down." And so he offered another $50,000 or something like that. And I said, "Glenn, I really appreciate it. I love that. And I've been an Oiler fan forever. But, I think really medicine's my calling." So I got up, I started walking out again. He said, "Ray, sit down." And so I gave another $50,000. I wasn't negotiating.
Right.
But what I was doing is saying, this has to work for both of us.
Yes.
If you don't think I can do it, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
And I'll rip up that contract. You don't send me the minors. And for all my career, not that I was a particularly great player, but we had a respect in that if I did my job, you send me the minors, I'm just going to go back to medicine.
Right.
So again, we talk about that combination between athletics and academics. And so not that anybody had control over the Edmonton Oilers. It's just...
but you wanted to know they were serious about you.
Yeah.
And you were, because you were giving up something to go play for them.
Yeah.
Not just giving up nothing, but something to go play for them.
Well,
medicine.
And fortunately, my family were all up in the stands. They were all Oiler fans. And when you looked at the team and saw the Gretzkys and Messiers and Lowe's and Furies, you thought, man, this team might do some things over the years.
Just a few.
I'm just going to tell you. So I grew up in Edmonton. I was here for all but one cup for sure. And I remember watching you play. I remember watching Gretzky and Messier and Lowe and Lindsman and all those guys, and it was something else. Like it was something else. I don't think it's ever been like that in hockey again. It was really, really something watching you guys, and what you did for this city, unbelievable. You put Edmonton on the map. It was incredible, and you were a great team.
Well, so that's from a fan's perspective, and my mom was a fan, and my dad was a fan, and all my friends, and so that's the positive byproduct of that. But when you actually have to put on the equipment and go on the ice, it's a little bit different. We had an owner that eventually got thrown in jail.
Yes.
Many times we said, let's win it for the fans, not for our owner. But interestingly enough, before a team wins, they have to lose.
Yes.
And
you
in
did.
1983, we got beat by the New York Islanders, and we realized that 93 goals winning is great, and all this is great. But if you want to win, you've got to look and learn from those teams. And we learned from the New York Islanders that, we love what you can do when you're the best player in the world in the history of the game.
Yeah.
But we have to have a 5-man unit. We have to play defense. We have to be able to have transition through the mid-ice. And so when I look at this team these days, they've got wonderful, wonderful athletes, and they're going through the same thing. They have to learn to lose.
They have to
understand how they have to
get
get better.
absolutely.
For sure. Which we're hoping this year in Edmonton they've learned to lose twice now. Let's hope this year.
Cam, you're a good fan, and fans, Rod Phillips years ago was the radio personality.
The golden voice of Rod Phillips.
Rod Phillips was the radio personality, and he had a saying about fans. He said, they're with you win or tie.
Yeah.
Just don't tie too many.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's a little bit different in the dressing room because the other team wants to win too.
Of course they do.
They do.
And so it's not as easy as just wanting.
No.
So the challenges that team has will be the same challenges that we had many years ago. that Gretzky had to come back and back check.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we had to force, the opposition offensively, and we had to look at mid zone, and we had to have a fantastic goalie like Grant Fuhrer and So let's hope it happens.
Sure.
But it's
and you're
it's
right.
not
I
easy.
mean, for the fan, it's quite easy to sit back and watch because they see it for 3 hours or 3.5 hours in an evening. You guys lived it, played it 24/7. It was there. What goes on behind the scenes only.
So I got to tell you a quick story about a fan. So my mother, wonderful lady, grade 8 education, I think, smarter than I'll ever be. But she was a big fan. But she said during the heyday, she said, Randy, I don't really like those 7-1 games, but the 2-1 games are kind of tight. Can you make it like 5-2? I said, no, I can't make it 5-2.
Sorry, Mom.
Mom, can you fix that for us? Yeah, that's good.
She was so wonderful because she
yeah.
wanted us to win. She wanted a good game. She didn't want a blowout, but she really didn't realize that it's not easy.
It's not easy.
That's right. Yeah, I had a very good friend, Laurie Boschman, who played for the Oilers, and Laurie and I were good friends. Actually arranged Laurie, myself, and a good friend of mine, Kel Wall. We got to have dinner with Wayne Gretzky one night over at Grinders on 124th. And Laurie would look at me and go, Cam, he goes, this ain't easy. This is really tough. This is tough.
We did a hockey school, Laurie Boschman and I, and another player, and we went up to Peace River. The organizer of the hockey school was the senior goaltender, and every day he said, let's do a shootout. I want to see how good I am. Let's do a shootout. Let's do a shootout. And he said, no, we don't want to do a shootout. Okay, well, and Laurie was a good third-line center, but he was not a goal scorer. I was a defenseman, not a goal scorer. So we said, okay, final day, we'll do 10 shots. Laurie went 10 for 10, and I went 9 for 10 and hit the post in the other one. And the goaltender shook his head and skated off. That's like, now I know that the NHL is up at this level.
Yeah.
I might be a senior goalie. And that's the beauty of it. A fan can look at it and they can appreciate the skills of the player. But not everybody gets a chance to play at the highest level of sport.
And in fact, it's a very select few that
very
do
select
get to
few,
play at that level.
For sure.
Well, isn't that why, I got 12 little kids, and if they play in the NHL, that's great. If they don't, that's great.
Yeah.
What I want to develop the passion.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Grandpa, can I just do another lap?
Yeah, that's
And
fabulous.
when we do that, whether they make a career in the NHL or not, but now we've got situations where we have lots of charter schools that are charging $15,000 or $20,000. And not only is there a financial investment, but there's now an inherent stress on these young 14 or 15-year-olds.
Exactly.
And some of them will make the NHL, and maybe they'll have a nice life. They'll make lots of money. I don't care about them. I care about the ones that don't make it.
I love it. That's
and
great.
So we can learn from
I love
that,
it.
I think.
That's good. All right. Well, we want to keep going because
I think this is that actually segues good into my next question, because you were a baseball player, you were a hockey player, and these days there's a lot of sports specializations. You touched on it a little bit. Just talk a little bit, because I know you're part of the Edmonton Riverhawks, so we want to get into that for sure. Tell us a little bit about your thoughts on sports specialization at such young age. I mean, you obviously were a multi-sport player.
So our two of our kids went to 2 Olympics in speed skating. One of my sons and one of my daughters. And my daughter at 15 was practicing twice a week, 2 hours a week. At 19, it was 4 hours a day.
Phew.
Same girl.
Yeah.
But the difference between 15, physically, emotionally, psychologically not as mature, to 19 when she's on the Olympic team.
Yeah.
So there's a time to commit. But the nervousness for me as an 11-year-old who has to practice 4 times a week, can't play volleyball. In fact, it's interesting. My son was trying out for a midget AAA team. He ended up going to 2 Olympics in speed skating, played in a local local elite program, and the coach said, you can't play midget AAA hockey and play volleyball at Ross Shep. So I said, what are you going to do? He said, well, I'll play midget AA. And he played volleyball. A great skill.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wayne Gretzky was, arguably the most fantastic player and a great role model we've ever seen. And in Pittsburgh, there was a fellow that knew somebody I knew, and he came up to all of us and he introduced his sons, 14 to 13. He said, Joe scored 87 goals and 65 assists, and Jimmy scored 57 goals and 35 assists, and looked us in the eye and said, what's the best thing we can do in the summer to make him a better hockey player? And Wayne looked him in the eye and said, play golf.
Yes.
Play soccer.
Yeah.
Just let them
Yeah.
become athletes.
Bunch of
now,
other
when they're
sports.
19,
Yeah.
then play the sport.
Sure.
Yeah.
So the thought that more is better when we're younger, I think is a fallacy.
Yeah.
And we have lots of young 13-year-olds that retire. Well, I retired at 36.
Yeah.
It's time.
Yeah.
But when you see a young person, girl or boy, retire at the sport they love at 13, our system is wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we, as role models, maybe, should not identify that this system works. Now,
Right.
it works for the elite, but I don't care about the elite.
Yeah.
I don't care about the great player. I care about the player
Yeah.
who isn't great,
That's right.
Yeah.
who's going to be your neighbor someday.
That's right. Yeah.
And is going to have, in fact, interestingly, there was a young fellow named John Devaney who played with Golden Bears when I played in the Olympics. And the Oilers offered him a two-way contract. And John was a smart man, and he was a good player, but not a great player. And John said, you know, I could go to the minors, make $30,000 a year. I think I'll just become an accountant. Was a very successful
Yeah.
accountant, had a family,
Yeah.
wonderful life. He made a great decision, and he had a chance to play in the NHL.
Yeah.
But he realized that this was better for him. So I look at people like John Devaney, and I think, you know, you really have a vision for what you want in your life.
Yeah, great. What a great story, and that is so true. It's taken a turn that isn't healthy in so many ways for kids, and that's unfortunate.
So my wife's a teacher.
Okay.
And she's now retired. But, you know, when you have a group of 30 kids, do you just teach the smartest kids?
No. Yeah.
Of course you don't.
No.
In fact, you
Teach the whole class.
You
Yeah.
often give extra time to the kids that are struggling.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why? Because every child is
Yep.
important.
Yes.
That's right.
What do we do when we play hockey? Well, we get the best players to get more ice time, dryland training. We'll give them nutrition ideas. But if you're not very good, we don't really care about
Yeah.
you. So what's
Wrong
the difference
message.
between
Yeah.
education and learning
And
about
sports.
sport?
Yeah.
So it's kind
Yeah.
of interesting, isn't it?
So you finished with 5 Stanley Cups. Well, you didn't finish, but you got 5 Stanley Cups with the Oilers.
Mm-hmm.
Then when you were done with the Oilers, did you go back into practice, or was the transition into baseball right away, or what was
Yeah.
that time period there?
So I did. So the Glen Sather had to cover people on their
yeah.
restricted list or something like that, and so he put somebody on there, and he left me off the list because who's going to take this 34-year-old who's a doctor? And then he emailed all the teams, said, don't pick Randy because he's not going to go. Well, the Vancouver Canucks said, well, even if he doesn't go, at least we're going to get him off the team. So the Vancouver Canucks picked me up,
Yeah.
and we had a young family at the time, and I just started an organization called Fun Team Alberta, which is, again, kind of what we're talking about, sport for all,
Yeah.
learning skills, not winning or losing, but participating. It's now got about 1,800 members in Alberta, so I kind of committed to that. So I took a year off, and then the Vancouver Canucks were quite interested, and there was a sports medicine clinic at UBC, and so I thought, well, you know, maybe I can go there and play and maybe spend some time at the sports medicine clinic, because my interest was, of course, musculoskeletal medicine. So I went to Vancouver. The coach there was Pat Quinn, a
Yes.
wonderful gentleman,
Yeah.
a great leader, and somebody I really
Yeah.
respect. And while I was there was this young fellow that they were going to sign, and there was an interview with this young fellow, and somebody said, well, do you think you'll score 50 goals in the NHL? And he said, probably. Well, up on the chalkboard in the dressing room, like, who the heck thinks he's going to come
Yeah.
in and score? The guy's name was Burry.
Yeah,
Burry.
Pavel,
So,
yes,
of course,
that's
Pavel
right.
joined the team, did
Yeah.
score 50 goals, was a wonderful athlete,
Yes.
a great addition. So that was a good experience, but being away from my family was hard.
Hard,
And again,
yeah.
I think about my wife and the challenges she had and the sacrifices, never to say anything, because she realized that was part of closing off an NHL
Sure.
career and leaving on her terms. And
Yeah,
then
on your terms.
Yeah, for sure. So it was good.
Cool. Again, we want to respect your time. Tell us about the Riverhawks.
Yes.
Yeah, so I was, I think in 1978, I was playing on a senior team, and the best senior team in Canada. We went to the national championships, and before we went there, the president of Baseball Canada said, whoever plays the best will represent Canada to go to Italy for the World Championships. Oh my God, can you
Yeah.
imagine playing for your country? That was before I was able to in hockey. So I got pretty lucky. I threw a one-hitter against PEI. I hit 7 home runs in the last 3 games. I was given the MVP award. And after the award, the same president came and said, Randy, great job out there, but we're not going to take you because you're Canadian and you don't play in the United States.
Right.
So I thought, okay, that's fine. I'll go play hockey instead. But what it showed me is that you don't have to go to the United States
Yeah.
to be a great athlete.
Yeah.
You just have to be a great athlete. And so although I learned that, and luckily I transferred to hockey, and that worked out fairly well, I really like baseball. I think it's a great sport.
Yeah.
You know, in hockey, the kids go to the game, they play, they go home.
Yeah.
In baseball, you go to the game, you play, you sit around for 2
Yeah,
hours.
you hang out.
throwing-
Baseball is
chewing
Yeah,
bubble
that's
gum,
right.
doing
Yeah.
some stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
And so we realized that the Edmonton Trappers were a big part of our
Yeah,
sporting
they were.
community.
Yeah.
But after 9/11, it was really hard to get a lot of the Venezuelans, Puerto Ricans across
Right,
the border,
across the
so they
border.
went to Rolling Rock, Arkansas. So for a period of time, we had the Cracker Cats and the Capitals, and that didn't work out well. And in fact, the city was hoping to demolish Remax
That's
Field.
right.
They
yes.
wanted to
and
tear it
make
down. Yeah.
condos. And so we got a group together to say, you know, we do need the Elks, and we do need the Oilers, and we do need a soccer team. We do need a baseball team. So anyway, we struggled a little bit getting a team with the West Canadian Baseball League. The fellow that had the rights was a little bit interesting to deal with. So one of the fellows said, have you ever heard of the West Coast League? And I said, yeah, but we're not in the West Coast. We're in the prairies.
Yeah.
Anyway, the West Coast League had an interest in expanding. It usually takes 3 years to get the franchise. It took us 3 months.
Wow.
Well, in the last 3 years, we've eclipsed all our tents records.
Yes.
When we first went to these owner meetings, they said, where is Edmonton anyways? A lot like in Canada. They don't say that anymore.
No.
150,000 fans last
Yeah.
year, and they're all
It's-
saying, I don't know what you're doing,
It's
but
really phenomenal.
You have done an amazing job. You really have. You revived baseball back down at
Remax.
the Remax.
so there's two thoughts on that. The first of all is after the first year, people say, well, you're charging $20 a ticket. You could charge more. I said, I know we can. We're not
Yeah.
going to. Because I don't care about you and me. I care about that family where
Yeah.
$20 is a lot of money.
Wow,
amazing.
that's
They can't go to a
fantastic.
football game. They
Yeah.
can't go to a hockey
Yes.
game.
No, that's
and
right.
So we have a $35 ticket for
Yeah.
the guy that wants to sit around a fire pit and watch the game. But we will stay fast that we want an affordable thing.
Yeah.
The other thing we said is, I want a $3 hot dog.
Yes.
Now, we got a $9 hamburger for you and I, but I never want a family to come
Yeah.
say, son, I can't buy you anything. Now, it's a junior hot dog, but still $3.
Well, and
And
anybody who goes to professional sports, to arenas, whatever. I mean, it's a $8 bottle of water. You're right.
It becomes unaffordable.
It's hard for families, and I remember my wife and I. We lived in the River Valley in one of the high rises that overlooked the park there, and that was just a great cheap evening to go watch ball. And
So in this community, if all you do is take,
yeah,
then you've got to be either a team that everybody wants. The
Yeah.
Oilers can do whatever they want because they're the Oilers.
yeah,
But if you start giving back to the people in the community, they realize this.
Yeah.
Edmonton's a great community. I've lived in Calgary, I've lived in Vancouver, and I will live nowhere else in Edmonton
Yeah.
because we have people who really understand. I think maybe it's the 30 below, 40
Yeah,
below.
yeah,
that
yeah. No,
brings
you're
us
right.
together.
Yeah.
And I think they realize. In fact,
Sure.
there was one time after a game. It was shortly after the pandemic, and I have a friend who owns a McDonald's franchise, and he said, Randy, we'd love to sponsor you, but just pandemics kicked the heck out of us, but we'll give you free cheeseburger coupons. Of course, when you get a free cheeseburger, you buy chips and some
Sure.
sweets a lot
Yeah,
later.
yeah.
Anyway, at the end of one game, I was outside picking some weeds or something like that, bending over, and these two guys were coming, drinking their beer, and they said, Jesus, that was a good game. And then they're looking, and they gave us a goddamn cheeseburger. And it was a great story.
I love
because
it. That's
when,
great.
When you give
Yeah.
people something that they don't
Yeah.
pay for,
Yeah.
those people are going to come back.
Yeah.
And I think that's a reflection on Edmonton, the community, also the excitement of baseball. And I think we've struck a chord with people.
Yeah.
We're not trying to nickel and dime people. We want them to experience it. So it's kind of fun.
And I think it's a reflection on you because you're doing a great job, an amazing job, and you can read the community like that. And I think that's fantastic. And I think we need more people like that in professional sports. I get it. At certain levels, it is what it is. But this is high-level baseball. This is high-level entertainment.
It's amazing
It's
entertainment.
amazing
Yeah.
entertainment, and it's worth every penny of it.
Well,
and you've made it accessible
We
to
learn
so
from
many.
our experiences, and not only growing up in Inglewood and
Yeah.
living with 5 other siblings
Yeah,
in a
that's
700
right.
square foot house. But there was a time when we would go to the West Edmonton Mall, it's Oilers, and they would give us a bunch of cards,
Yeah.
and we would sign it, and there would be, lineups around the whole mall. And at the end of the time, the PR person would come and take the existing cards that we didn't have because they could sell them.
Yeah.
And so some of us would have to hide the cards because we wanted to sign them and give them away to kids in the community.
Right.
So when you see that, you think, really?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
do we really have to squeeze that much? So those are all experiences. Some aren't pleasant experiences,
Right. Yeah.
but they're experiences that mold us into knowing what's right in our community.
Good on you guys. Good on you guys. Well, man, we've kept you a little longer. We have
One final question, and
final
it
question.
segues well.
We ask this to every guest.
Sure.
Randy, what is the best piece of advice you've been given either throughout your career, professionally or personally, that you carry with you to this day?
So I'm gonna answer it two ways, and not because it's me. So my wife went to her first Olympic at 16. Speeds here, 16 years old. Are you kidding me? Her father was one of the most amazing men I knew. He was a Mennonite minister, but was also a university professor in economics. And just before she went to the Olympics in Austria, he looked at her in the eye and said, "If you don't win a medal, don't come back."
Wow.
And then he winked and said, "Go have some fun."
Yeah.
So he understood.
Yeah.
And so we do the same thing with our kids. When they went to the Olympics, I
Yeah.
think we said the same thing. But the other thing was, so I coached my sons in baseball, and they were 8 and 9 years old. My daughter was 6. And we needed a player. So I asked my little 6-year-old daughter, she was a great ball player, I said, "Can you come and play?" So she was playing shortstop. It was coach pitch, and I was coaching. Anyway, man on second base, and so the ball came to her shortstop. She picked it up, and of course the player ran to third base. She touched her. And I called her out, the runner out. And my daughter came up and said, "But Dad, I didn't touch him."
Wow.
And I thought, isn't that a statement?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
a 6-year-old understands
That's
what
it.
sports should know about.
Right.
So I learned from them.
Wow. That's fantastic. It doesn't get any better than that. That's amazing.
This has been just an amazing podcast. We can't thank you enough.
I mean, my goodness, I can't believe I'm sitting here with you because I watched you all through my teen years play. And it was amazing. And here you are sitting in front of me. Absolutely amazing. And to listen to you is, we could do this for another 2 hours. I know you got to go, so we're not gonna do
But
that.
before he does go, tell us where people can find out about the Edmonton Riverhawks.
Yeah. Is there?
Yes.
You're all over social media.
Yeah, GoHawks.ca is a website, and we do a really good job on the website. And we talk about learning, and here's the Wayne Gretzky. We go into Pittsburgh, and there'd be 1,000 people waiting for Mario Lemieux to sign autographs. He is a Pittsburgh Penguin. He would get into his limousine and drive through the crowd. Wayne Gretzky, on the other hand, their team would walk through the crowd signing autographs. So, like everybody, we learn from people to be to have humility, to be proud of what we've done. But anyway, to finish off, GoHawks.ca with the Riverhawks. But I want to leave you with one quote, because I think it reflects on the fact that we have to know what we've done and what we haven't done. I was a 50-goal scorer in the NHL. Problem is, it took 9 years to get them all. So I'll leave you with that.
Well, thank you so much, Randy. We appreciate it. This has been a great podcast. Listen, folks, we need you to tell everybody about about our podcast. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your coworkers, tell your enemies. If you don't have any friends, make one just so you can tell them about the podcast. www.coffeeinthepark.com, wherever you get your podcast. Thanks everybody for listening. Thank you, Randy, for being here today, and we'll catch you next time.
See you next week, everyone.
Thanks.